Hi, this is Daniel Piatek coming to you from the Catalan Pyrenees up in the north of Spain. So the sun is setting here and a beautiful scene over this medieval village where luckily I'm up here working for a while and putting together some things, and I've come to the mountains to do some work. So welcome. I wanted to talk today a little bit about making change, particularly in the times that we're in. So making change is something that I help people do for a living. That's kind of the easiest way to say what I do. But almost everybody I talk to right now, my friends, my family, my clients, and myself, because I do talk to myself, I find it makes life interesting, and it actually helps a lot. So is going through a lot of significant change. So I want to talk today to give you some things to help you in whatever that looks like in your life, whatever that change looks like that you're either going through or you've been thrown into or you're feeling drawn to, how to find your way in a way where as you're doing it and when you get to where you're going, that the process itself is as smooth as it can be. And when you get there, you like where you got to because it actually fits who you are, rather than creating something because you, without knowing it, you thought it's the way it should be or the way you should do it, and you realize it's not really the best fit. So I'm going to give you some things today that will help you to do that. So the way I like to approach this is, first of all, is context. So context for me is critical. It's the frame that we look through when we're looking at the specifics of a situation. So one of the contexts that I like to use to help me in my life is astrology. So I'm not an astrologer, at least not in this life, and but I go to people and listen to people that I trust, and then want to present you with something to give you some backdrop of what's happening astrologically, because it may actually help you to understand what you're going through. And I'll keep this really short and sweet. Is that this year, starting back at the very end of last year through the very beginning of next year, there's a huge change happening astrologically in which, well, there's a lot more than what I'm saying, but in which two major cycles are coming to an end, a 10-year cycle and about a 33 to 35-year cycle. So there's things that have been happening for the last 10 years in your life, the last 30 to 35 years in your life, or to when you were born, depending on how old you are, that are coming to an end. And this year, what's happening astrologically is we're being asked to really seriously look at what we're doing in our lives, to find out whether what we're doing, how we're doing them, who we're being, fits anymore, and to begin to reevaluate our own values and begin to find ways for our life, the life that we're living, to be a reflection of those values. So it's kind of like the universe saying, look, it's time for those old structures to go that no longer served you, so that you can begin to create new structures that will carry you forward into who you've become at this point in your life. So now look at what's happening around us globally. You could say that's what's happening as well. Old structures that the cracks are getting really big, things are falling apart, so that we can take a look at who we are, what we value, and begin to sort through it. So that's what's happening. That's the backdrop here. We're being asked to get clear about what we value, get rid of the things that no longer serve us because those values are no longer who we are. Maybe they never were. And we're getting clear about where we want to go, and so how to align with that. So personally, what's happening for you right now in that context? So in the last couple months, the astrology is pushing us to get really down into the details, sort out the things that don't serve, get rid of them. People, situations, habits. And maybe I've been finding it. Like when I heard that that's what's happening in astrology, it's like, yeah, it totally is true for me. And it wasn't something that I set out consciously to do. It's like we're just being asked to look closely, sort out. And maybe you've been doing that. If there's things that you know that you really need to make a shift on, but don't know how to do it or hesitant to do it, listen to the rest of what I have to say because this might help you. But this is what's being pushed. It's really like time. Get rid of what no longer serves, find what does, grab a hold of it, and be open to seeing more. So we've also just entered with the new moon in Pisces, which happened basically, depending on when you listen to this video, today, yesterday, very soon. We're shifting and we're being asked to go within. Really, like, so this last year has been really a push to kind of sort things out. And now we're being asked to stop, take a look, where are you? Where are you with these things that you're being asked to look at or life is pushing in your face? Where are you with them? So in that context, maybe that helps you to put a frame around the very personal, painful, difficult, confusing things that you're going through. And what I find about context like this is it kind of helps to take something that feels like this sometimes, right? It does. And kind of say, hold on a second. This is going on. I am being asked. So it's not like, oh my God, it's all these problems. It's, yes, I have these things I need to sort out. And I'm being asked to look at these to get clear about what I value. That in and of itself, context helps to give us perspective, to give us some distance on something that otherwise feels really too close to sort out. So I wasn't intending to say that, so that's kind of tool tip number one. Didn't realize that was going to come out that way, but that's great. So I want to say a little bit about me, just so you kind of understand a little bit about where I come from. I'll keep this really brief as I go into these tools. So one thing that if you look at the details of my life has been making major transitions. Leaving something that no longer fits, sometimes suddenly, other times not. Knowing I need to go someplace else, but not clear where that is, and then having these intervening times, these what I call the desert times, walking in the desert, finding my way, to find the next perfect thing that fits to me at that point in time, which then 10 years later has reached its end. It's time to leave. I don't know where I'm going, and I move out of it to move into something new. So there are ways to do this. And so these tools that I'm going to present to you are a few of those about how to walk those times when you're not sure where you're going. You just know you need to not be here anymore, and how to find the new. So tool tip number, what's now 2? First one was context. So I gave you context. There are other contexts, and maybe you already have something that works for you. When you get into problems where things are like this, grab a context, grab a frame. What frame can I put around this so that it doesn't feel like this, and I can put it out here, hang it on my wall, and look at it. Tool tip number 2, one step at a time. This is really important. So it's really important generally, but if you're listening to me, if you're interested in what I have to say, you're probably not likely to be totally mainstream, and you're trying to follow something that's a deeper calling in yourself. You're trying to find your way to live your purpose, your mission, to follow those deeper longings in you. And so the way that I've discovered, that I've seen that this works, is that it's trying to take you to some place that is going to need for you to be different, which means that even if you could see where that is now that you're going to, you now can't really get it because you haven't changed enough. You haven't changed your attitude. Well, not really. You haven't changed your attitude, your beliefs, your structure of what you think is right and wrong, what you think you're capable of and not, hasn't changed. But those longings, spirits, that mission, your deeper self knows how to get you there one step at a time. So now take a look at the situation, whatever those things are in your life, and just sit with it, put it in the frame on the wall, and say, okay, what's the next step I can take? What seems fairly clear to me now that I need to do? And then do it. And then look again, because you're going to be in a different place at that point. You will have made a change. Things will have shifted around you. Your perspective on yourself and the situation will change. One step at a time is really critical. So if you want more about this, I have a short book that I've written that I offer for free. There'll be a link somewhere you can download it. It's not that long, but it goes into a simple but really powerful framework to look at how to walk one step at a time towards something that's calling to you. So tool tip number 3 is basically how to say this. So we have whatever we have in front of us. There's this situation with money. Oh my God, I'm in a really, this is so bad. How am I going to do it? I can't do this and I have to do this. Or you can't stay in that job anymore, or you have to change something about a relationship. And there's a way that we tend to look at things and we immediately go to, what do I have to do to solve it? Or what we can't do because of the situation. So very quickly what our minds do, it's just the way it works. It's just the way it works. Is we see something, we immediately get what it is, and then we're moving on really fast. But the problem is we don't get what it is. Our minds and the way we work move too fast. So tool or tip number 1 is ask more questions of yourself about the situation. So there are so many layers to what's going on with us, particularly when it's bigger stuff. And there are so many layers, and we will tend to look at it, suss it out, get it, without even becoming interested. Hold on, what is actually going on here? That's what I mean by ask more questions. What is actually going on here? So is that really the way it is? I feel like it's this way, but is it really that way? How else do I feel about this? Because there's different aspects of who we are, different parts of us. And different parts of us, kind of the easiest different parts of us to kind of grab onto are emotionally, what we think about something, what we feel we should do. It's kind of like the superego part of us, or the part that kind of knows the way it should be, the kind of harsh parent part of us. There's these different parts of us that see the situation from different angles, and oftentimes we'll find ourselves looking at angles habitually from one of those, and we do it really fast. So we're missing a tremendous amount of information that can help us to know what that next right step is. So the first thing is to just stop, turn all the periods at the end of the sentences in our thinking into question marks. Turn them into question marks. Get interested. This is this way, meaning my money situation is a mess. Okay. My money situation is a mess. Is it a mess? Why is it a mess? In what ways is it? Is there a better way to put that? So mess isn't really very helpful. Way to look at it. But you get interested in what's actually going on rather than, it's a mess. So, and some of these things we may need help with because emotionally they're very fraught. So you find somebody to kind of help you to look more closely. How do I feel about it? I am freaked out about this. Okay, what freaks me out about this? What is it about this? How am I judging myself? What's that harsh parent part of me saying about this? Take a look, ask more questions, get interested in what's actually going on right now, which means we have to pull ourselves back from very quickly jumping to, what do I have to do to solve it? Or knowing what it is I need to do to solve it, and then trying to find a way to get there. But we've missed so much information all the way back at the point right where we are right now. Cool. So, the last one, which is tool or tip number 4, is that there are so many things that are operating inside of us that we can't consciously see. So in the tip before, I'm talking about, being able to sort through things that we can see consciously, that we can use our minds, use our senses to go into our emotional state to get more information. But there are so many things, and this is something that's changed my life, is to really understand this, is that there are so many things that we can't consciously see, but we're not victims to them. We don't have to be. So things like anxiety, self-doubt, things that happen over and over, situations or kinds of people, or we get stuck in certain ways of thinking or stuck in certain emotional relationships to things. These are the things we see on the outside. They're kind of the symptoms of something that's deeper, that are the things that we can't see. But there are ways to deal with these things, which in this day and age are really profound and very different than the kind of things that I knew about, heck, even 5 years ago, let alone 10, 20 years ago. So there's a huge body of information and understanding about how situations, traumatic events from our childhoods, and in the work I do, because I take people to past lives, how those are having profound effects on us now by this unresolved energy, unresolved difficulty that lives in us kind of back here where we can't see it, but it's affecting us out here in things that we can see. So there are so many ways in which science, in which the technology that we have now, in which psychology, quantum understanding of things have come together, body-based practices have come together to give us tools in which to go in and do that healing work. So this last tool or tip is to find some kind of body-based tool to use, because this can get down and get down to the root of problems in ways where you don't have to go through, this is not like going through psychotherapy for years at all. This stuff has changed my life. And so if you don't have something, I would suggest you find something to help you with this, because it can help you to deal with these difficult patterns that you're trying to kind of work around and maneuver through. And we all find our ways to do that, but there are ways to actually get rid of this stuff so that you don't have those roadblocks anymore. Literally, this has changed my life. It saved me about 4 years ago, leaving quite a challenging situation. And this is when I found this kind of work. And I've been stunned and shocked. And when I share with people the fact that very deep-seated patterns no longer affect me, or affect me in such a minimal way compared to the past, they almost don't believe me. So I want to tell you about something that I'm offering for free, because I've found that it's part of my awakening this last year, in terms of everything we talked about, has been to come to realize I need to talk about these things. I need to share this stuff with people, because just look at how it's affecting me, how it's changed my life. Now that I'm beginning to work more consciously and directly with clients, how it's changing theirs quite dramatically. So I put together it's going to be delivered through the email to you, a 4-session short video course to introduce you to this whole thing of energy, of healing, of dealing with unresolved trauma that lives in the different layers of our bodies, and how to get rid of it, how to resolve it, so that you can actually become free. More of that spiritual essence of who you are comes through, because it's not having to work around the roadblocks that happen to us emotionally, that happen to us in these stuck habits of thinking, these habitual ways of seeing life. So anyway, I invite you to take a look. Somewhere near this video there'll be a link. Please register. It can change your life dramatically. So I hope this has been helpful. I wanted to give you some practical tips, and in each of these we can get much more practical. In this video, this 4-session mini course on the energy body process kind of work of eliminating this energy from your body so that it's not causing these problems, I'm going to give one specific tip that you can start using, one tool, it's a technique that you can start using to begin accessing the deeper wisdom in your body that you can't get to rationally, to help you to find your way with everything that we've been talking about. So I wish you the best in whatever you're working your way through. I have deep faith that we're being pushed slowly but surely to become the beings that we came here to be in our lives, not plagued with self-doubt or these difficulties. But we've got to find our way step by step to sorting through it and finally putting to bed the karmic energy, the karmic momentum, that the habits, the deeply ingrained habits can be put to bed so that we no longer have to deal with them going forward and begin to express more of the essence of who we are. So from my essence to your essence, I see you. I want you to have the life that you want. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you again soon, and bye for now.